In this video, we're talking about understanding the mental plane, or understanding our thoughts, and how to change our thoughts, and then ultimately how to affect change in our lives. Now, before we start this video, I'm going to give you a bit of an analogy. Okay, now if you're an expert mechanic, unfortunately, this isn't going to sit very well with you because you know what I'm talking about. But if you're not an expert mechanic, then if somebody comes up to you and they have a problem with the engine of their car, and you don't understand the engine, you don't understand its function, you don't understand its mechanics and how it works, and you don't understand how to affect change or fix that engine, then you're going to open the bonnet of the car and you're immediately going to be stuck. You're immediately going to be paralyzed because you don't know where to begin. You know, you need the tools, right? You need the potential parts to replace, etc., right? So you're not going to know where to start. So it's important to learn and understand that engine before you begin. And that's just like the mind. You know, so if you're feeling paralyzed, if you're feeling like you come to change your thoughts, you come to change your mind, and you're immediately like, what am I even talking about? What's the mind? What are my thoughts? You know, how do I change it? Then it's important for you to, number one, understand what the mind is and what you are. Number two, understand what tools can be used to fix. No one's going to like that word, but I'm trying to bring it a mechanical term here, but how to change and influence your mind, and how to understand it as a whole. So it's important that before you begin, you understand who and what you are and what the mind is, okay? And so the first thing that we look at is who and what we are. And who and what we are, to me, there are two components. You have all that is, universe, source, God, unity, you know, great mystery, whatever word you wish to assign onto it, that is what you are, and it is your subconscious, okay? Now, other people might give you different thoughts and feelings on this, but seeing as you're watching this video, I'm going to share my thoughts and feelings and what has allowed me to get to where I am in life within my being. Okay, and so it is your subconscious. It is all it is. It is the unconditional container of our world. Okay, and the bridge between the subconscious and your conscious, or James, the personality, the identity, the ego that is walking around on this planet of experience, is the mind. It's the mind, it's the heart, it's the faculties of the body. Okay, so it's not just the mind, it's really your entire physical being. But here's where a lot of the play is done. Okay, here's where a lot of the play and the workings are done. So we have our subconscious and we have our conscious. And the communication between the two is done through thoughts and feelings and images. Okay, so really, subconscious, conscious is the mind. So the mind is in the center, and it's your imagination, your feelings, and your thoughts, and what it is that you persist within. Okay, and that's the connection, that's the bridge. Okay, now for those of you that might struggle with that, I understand. You know, it's as simple as, we know that wind exists because the trees are blowing, right? We know that gravity exists. Throw an apple up in the air, watch it fall. Coincidentally, I'm in a place where Isaac Newton was supposed to be born, so that's quite funny, actually. We know gravity, we know wind. The thoughts are the same. They're there, but you can't grab them. They're not, you know, they're not so much physically tangible like wind and like gravity, but they are there. So one of the powerful things to do is recognize, as I've said, who and what you are, and then have an understanding, okay? So that you can make it simple. Like, this is the point. Like, an expert mechanic will make an engine simple. He'll start to learn sounds, he'll learn the components, he'll learn what's going on, he'll have experience over time, which will allow him to identify problems quicker and fix them faster and more efficiently and to a higher degree and a higher level. It's a time of experience, right? And so I don't want to project onto you this sense of time with healing and change, but seeing as we're in a time-based reality, it's a way of going through it. You know, like, you become more proficient at working this mind thing out, you know? Because one thing you have to understand is we have our subconscious, conscious, and the mind, right? The mind and our feelings and our images and our beliefs, you can add those in there, are all influenceable, and they're also manipulatable. Now, I'm talking about manipulatable in a positive sense and in a negative sense. And on the negative sense, I mean all of our external inputs from music, society, films, series, magazines, all of the stuff that gets put in front of you, school, job, family beliefs, historical family trauma and programming, etc., etc. It's all what manipulates this middle column, okay? So therefore, the bridge between your conscious and subconscious gets manipulated. Here's the big one, write this down if you have a pen and paper, you can pause the video. It gets manipulated if you are unconscious or if you are unaware of what is happening, okay? So for a lot of you that feel stuck, that feel lost, or you might describe yourself as broken, etc., etc., it's usually because this middle column is out of control, right? This middle column is being neglected, okay? Subconscious, conscious, imagination, thoughts, feelings, beliefs. This is usually being neglected, okay? So if you aren't working your imagination, spending time to meditate and go within and actually practice and work upon it, if you aren't spending time sifting through your thoughts and catching your thoughts, if you aren't spending time assessing your feelings and what they're telling you and the messages they're providing, if you aren't assessing your beliefs and the same thing, what they're telling you and what they're etc., etc., it's being manipulated, it's being influenced, And if it's unconscious, this is where you feel stuck in life, because you're looking around, you're like, well, what's happening? And it's because there's no work being done here. Now, I am getting to the point in life where I'm recognizing that this idea of work and healing and this growth, journey of growth and this constant philosophy of getting to a place over there, it feels like it's not that it isn't necessary, but that it can prolong things. It can be another form of unconsciousness, okay? Because you can heal forever if you want to. I've always asked the question to people, define healing. People say, I'm healing this, I'm healing that. What does that mean? Give me a definition. What does it look like to heal, right? That's the idea. What does it look like to heal? And so the point, coming back to the point here, is that understanding this is very powerful. Understanding your psychic terrain, your mental terrain, your mental dimensions, your mental plane, your psychic plane, what's going on in here, right, is extremely important. Because if you can start to understand what's going on in there, you can begin to change your life. Because in this philosophy of the subconscious being all that is, wholeness, unity, oneness, right, I just said you have the subconscious, the middle column, the conscious. But actually, they're all one, okay? They are all, that I'm not separating these into three components. They're directly interlinked. They're laying over each other, okay? So your subconscious is listening to the middle column, and then it is creating your reality on your conscious plane, okay? So your subconscious is impeccably, unconditionally, non-biasly, that's not a word, but let's just go with it, shall we? Listening to everything that's going on in the middle column and is creating your reality. Now, if you're unconscious, that's not a dig, by the way, I mean that with love. If you're unconscious of what's going on here, this will explain why your life is not going the way you wish it to go, okay? Why it's happening, you're experiencing the things that you're experiencing, because it's all about understanding this middle column. Okay, and so the subconscious, let's just say it's here. If you're thinking positive and you're doing good and you're seeking to be good and you've got that oomph in your heart, yeah, you've got that solar plexus fire burning, that's going to begin to translate out into the material world, which is a fractalization of light solidified into form so that we can experience. Okay, write that down and stick with that for a little bit. So you can change your world by understanding the middle column. You know, and I've been toying with this concept of the 10 pillars of sovereignty. You know, just, you know how people do things. They like to bring up, you know, your quick fix five. It's just sort of tries to simplify things for people. In an information world, people try to simplify stuff, and fair enough, you know. So it's just about understanding that your imagination, your thoughts, your feeling state, and your beliefs, they're a part of those 10 pillars of sovereignty, because you can change them, right? If your neighbour over the street is throwing bricks at, you know, a wall, and you don't like it, you know, unless you go around and talk to them, or you use this, you know, in quotes, you're powerless to stop. That's what they're doing. You can change it using this, but the point being is that that's where the sovereignty lies. You know, this stuff is within. That's what you can work on. You know, you don't need a £40 million whatever in order to do it. It's there intrinsically, because it's the nature of your being and who and what you are. So if you can understand that your sovereignty lies in the things that you intrinsically have, that you absolutely have, you can begin to change your life. I don't want this video to be too quick, so I'm going to share this. The other thing I mentioned about fixing an engine is having the tools. Meditation, you know, everybody knows these, right? Meditation, presence, journaling, affirmations, audiobooks, surrounding yourself with more positive. You know, if you're surrounded by loads of people that are negative, stick on a positive audiobook and blast your brain hole with it, you know? Like, listen to that hours and hours on repeat, because then what you do is you're allowing yourself to sort of undo and override any other programming. You know, you can be around people that are talking about negativity 24/7, you know, and that can affect a person. You know, if you're struggling, if you're tired, if you're knackered, it can affect a person, you know, and that's just a part of it. You know, it's a part of the environment we're seeking to create in this world. So it's just some thoughts for you today. If you can understand the mechanism of your mind, the plane of your mind, if you can understand who and what you are and how these things layer on and how they work, then you can begin to affect change, okay? And by doing so, if you understand that this middle column is what's going to change your life, then trying to meditate, you know, speak to the people around you, getting them to give you a bit of time when you need it, etc., is a powerful thing to do, okay? And ultimately, once you've decided what it is you want your life to be, stick with that with absolute intrinsic faith and trust and knowing, okay? And allow it to unfold. You know, but again, there's also, you know, like the law of inspired action, there's a law of etc., etc. It's about giving it some as well. So I hope that you found this video interesting. I hope it gave you something to think about, and I send all my love to you guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.